1982 GM CK Cafe Quantum Leap Part 2. GM 6 Gross Vehicle Weight Series. The biggest news isn't tricky transmissions, electronic engines, or aero aesthetics, but splitting the half, 3/4, and 1 tons into 6 distinct series. Deluxe two-tone paint has contrasting cab and lower body paint. The 4,900-pound gross vehicle weight C10 or GMC C-1000 has small fiberglass belted P195/75R 15 radial tires, 15,500-pound rated rear springs, a smaller new 3.1-inch section modulus frame instead of 3.14, 11 by 2-inch rear brake drums, and 11.86-inch front disc brakes. All half-tons use a 3,750-pound rated rear axle with an 8.5-inch ring gear differential. The 5,200-pound gross vehicle weight C10 requires power brakes and 205mm wide steel-belted tires. The 5,600-pound gross vehicle weight C10 adds 225mm wide tires and 1,750-pound rated springs. The $772 trailering special requires the 5,600-pound gross vehicle weight V8 overdrive automatic and adds power steering, engine oil, and transmission oil coolers, 66-amp alternator, trailer hitch and wiring harness, 32mm shocks, and a 373 axle ratio. C10 uses a 273 axle with the standard wide ratio 4-speed. A 308 cog is standard on the overdrive manual 6. C10 with 5,000 V8 and automatic offers a 256 axle ratio. All high-altitude emissions half-tons offer a 373 axle ratio. Californians get a 155 horsepower 5,000 in place of the ESC V8 and can't get a wide ratio 4-speed. Diesels also can't have the wide ratio manual. GMC Street Coupe debuted as a super street machine in '78. The $823 Street Coupe adds color-keyed carpeting, high Sierra trim, blackout grille, tape stripe with 5 unique two-tone paint combinations, hood ornament, and color-keyed bumpers with big rub strips. GMCK is the only step-side pickup that offers dual gas tanks. The 111.5-inch wheelbase CK short box is the most maneuverable full-size pickup. The Chevy Big Ten and GMC Heavy Half are renamed C15 and C1500. The two 6,050 and 6,200-pound gross vehicle weights are replaced by one 6,100-pound model, starting at $6,500. By shedding 100 pounds of curb weight and using the lighter 4,100 and 3,800 cc 6s instead of a standard V8, the maximum payload on the lightest short box step side increases to 2,596 pounds. That's 203 pounds over 1980's 6,200-pound gross vehicle weight. The C15 retains standard power brakes, 2,000-pound rated leaf springs shared with the C20, P235mm tires, and a 308 axle ratio. The new sloping hood offers much improved vision in hilltopping. Elaborate exterior decor two-tone paint includes pinstripes and hood ornament. The $1,663 premium for a half-ton 4x4 includes revalve shocks, 1.25-inch front stabilizer, power steering, heavy-duty power brakes, and P235mm tires. The 5,600-pound gross vehicle weight K10 offers the same engines as the C10, but only 165 horsepower 5,750cc V8 or optional 6,600 diesel are available in California. K10 has a standard manual overdrive or optional wide ratio 4-speed with a 308 axle or optional 342-to-1 axle on V8s. The 6-cylinder mills use a 342 or 373 axle with all transmissions. The V8 overdrive automatic has a 273 or optional 308 axle. Like C10 diesels, 4x4s offer a 308 or 342 axles with overdrive 4-speed or overdrive automatic. The short box has a 3.14-inch modulus frame. Long box has a 3.88-inch section frame. The 6,100-pound gross vehicle weight K15 has 1,875-pound rated leaf springs and weighs 210 pounds less than in 1980. Custom Deluxe and Scottsdale get single headlights or dual lamps for $88. Chrome front bumper is finally standard. To escape cafe rules, CK 25/2500 gross vehicle weight increases to where the 1 ton used to be, at 8,600 pounds. All CK 3/4 tons recently started at 6,400 pounds gross vehicle weight, only 200 pounds over the Big Ten, and ran to 8,200 pounds. The 20 and 2000 series have the same gross vehicle rate range for $654 more than the C10. It's the only series with just 131.5-inch wheelbase. It uses a new 5,700-pound rated axle with a 9.5-inch ring gear and semi-floating axle. The 6,000-pound rated C-25 axle combined with the 7,450 or 454 V8 or the 7,500-pound rated 1-ton axles both have full floating axle shafts that don't bear any payload weight. Lower bumper air dam, low drag front disc brakes, ESC 5-liter V8 and 4-speed drivetrain shared with the half-tons give the C20 a 17 mile per gallon city, 23 mile per gallon highway rating. It shares a new 0.35-inch smaller 3.57-inch modulus frame with the C25. It shares 11.15-inch by 2.75-inch rear drum brakes with the K10 and K15 and 12.5-inch front disc brakes with the CK25 through 35. CK20 V8 models have a unique 323 axle ratio with 342 and 373 optional. The 6-cylinder C20 with a 410 axle is the only 8,200-pound gross vehicle weight model. The K20 6,600-pound gross vehicle weight loses 298 pounds by sharing its frame, aluminum transfer case, and a 3,600-pound rated front axle with the long box K10/15. It's actually 54 pounds lighter than a 1980 K10. K20 has a 5750cc V8 standard and costs $8,555. New LT 85R16 radial tires and 16 by 6.5-inch wheels replace 16.5 by 6-inch rims and bias ply tires. The bonus cab 3/4 ton 7,500-pound gross vehicle weight increases 1,100 pounds. Only the 25/2500 offers a 144.5-inch wheelbase, 3+3 cab with a 6.5-foot box. It has standard 16-gallon gas tanks and a 5.7-liter V8. It shares the 164.5-inch wheelbase bonus cab's big 7.33-inch modulus frame and 7,500-pound rated Dana axle with a 10.5-inch ring gear. Camper Special comes only on CK 25 through 35. The heavy-duty CK 25, 30, and 35, GMC 2500, 3000, and 3500 have only marginally increased gas mileage since they're not EPA rated. Weight loss is as little as 4 pounds on the C30. They all get 12.5-inch power front disc brakes rotors and 32mm shocks instead of 25mm. C25 has 13 by 2.5-inch rear drum brakes and 1.06-inch front stabilizer bar. C30 and 35 had 13 by 3.5-inch drums and the 1.25-inch front stabilizer bar. The CK30 and 35 diesels require the heavy-duty turbo-hydromatic 400 3-speed automatic, but you can get the overdrive automatic on CK25 diesels. Axle ratios range from 3.21 to 4.46 on two-wheel drives, 3.73 to 4.56 on 4x4s, 115 horsepower 4100 cc6 with a 410 axle on CK25 or 456 on CK30 is standard. 25 and 30 offer a $315 160 horsepower 5.7 liter V8. It's standard on 35 and available dual exhaust on 30 or 35. A 210 horsepower 7450cc 454 with 340 foot-pounds of torque is optional on all two-wheel drive models. The 400 cubic inch gas V8 is gone, so the $425 454 V8 is optional on the 9,200 pound gross vehicle weight K30 and 10,000 pound gross vehicle weight K35. K25 has a 4.53-inch section frame. K30 has 6.14-inch modulus. 1-tons now use 10-ply rated LT235 85R 16 radial tires in back, 8-ply rated in front, but can be ordered with tube-type bias-ply tires. Conventional two-tone paint is only applied to the cab. Base GMC Sierra has signal lamps in the grille, not the bumper. The GMC price premium over the Chevy half-ton is reduced from $360 to just $49. Because GMC's extra standard equipment like a chrome front bumper, full foam seat, and 4-speed transmission are now standard on the Chevy C10. GMC also loses the standard Olds 350 cubic inch V8 it's offered since 1973. GMC gets a new BOP engine lineup that Buick, Olds, and Pontiac owners will find reassuring. They each grant a payload, power, or efficiency advantage over Chevy mills. Transmission and axle combinations match the gross vehicle weights of analogous Chevy engines. 110 horsepower Buick 3800 231 cubic inch V6 is standard on half-tons and C2000. It's the first GMC V6 since the famous 305 and 351 cubic inch big block V6 of the 60s. GMC's new Pontiac sourced 175 horsepower 4900 4-barrel V8 replaces the 2 and 4-barrel Olds Rocket 350s on light-duty 49 state models. An 8.2 to 1 compression ratio, 155 horsepower 4900 is optional on California light-duty models and standard on heavy-duty models. On 2500 to 3500 models, you can buy a $190, 165 horsepower Buick sourced 5700 V8 with 280 foot-pounds of torque, or a $380 6600 cc 403 cubic inch V8 used on the BOP big station wagons. GMC's gas 6600 V8 has an unsilenced free-breathing intake, high-lift camshaft, and dual exhaust. It's an overachiever, making the same 210 horsepower and 340 foot-pounds of torque as Chevy's 7450 454, despite weighing 70 fewer pounds. It's available in K2500 4x4s, giving them a big 50 horsepower edge over Chevy's K25. Gas-guzzling Suburban sips diesel diet. The 219-inch long, 129.5-inch wheelbase C15/1500 Suburban has a gross vehicle weight of 6,100 to 7,000 pounds. It gets 5,000 or 4,900 cc ESC V8s and the overdrive automatic standard. It's the only 49-state CK half-ton that retains an optional 5.7-liter V8 that's standard in California. The C15 Chevy Suburban diesel with the required overdrive automatic rates 19 city, 29 miles per gallon highway. GMC's version rates 1 mile per gallon more. The 7450 and 6600 gas V8 C-25 and 2500 Suburbans with the 410 axle ratio have a 15,500 pound gross combined weight rating, so they can tow over 10,000 pounds. Suburban shares a 25-gallon gas tank with the Blazer, with 31 and 40-gallon tanks optional. GMC Chevy Suburban Carryall remains the only short wheelbase 6-passenger pickup you can buy. Both K1500 and 2500 Suburban get a 4-speed manual and 5.7-liter V8 standard. Automatic K15 Suburbans tie the K20 pickup with the worst CK truck EPA rating of only 13 miles per gallon city. The K15 Chevy Suburban diesel rates just 17 miles per gallon city. Super Blazer gets 4-speed and V8 standard. Blazer and GMC Jimmy become super by virtue of their high-output 5,000 or 4,900cc V8s, 256 axle, and wide ratio 4-speed. K10 4x4 rates a 23% increase of 16 miles per gallon over the 80 350 cubic inch V8 Blazer's 13 miles per gallon. It offers better acceleration. Californians get 165 horsepower 5.7-liter V8. A Chevy 6600 or GMC 6200 diesel are the only optional engines and require overdrive automatic. Blazer and Jimmy trade progressive rate 6,050 or 6,200 pound gross vehicle weight leaf springs for softer riding linear rate 5,600 pound gross vehicle weight springs. This eliminates the diving board rebound effect on big bumps. The optional new Z75 quad shock front suspension with larger 32mm rear shocks resist bottoming and shock washout, enabling higher speeds off-road. Repositioned reverse arch front springs with pinion snubbers resist leaf spring windup and offer superior anti-squat and dive dynamics. New 64.7-inch front tread width axle is 2 inches narrower, reducing unsprung weight. Jimmy two-wheel drive pickup has far more passenger and cargo volume than long box Chevy Love mini truck of the same 190-inch length. Jimmy and Blazer two-wheel drive is the only CK with no diesel engine option. Blazer and Jimmy get an optional overdrive automatic with a 256 axle ratio or optional 308 axle plus smaller P2 15mm wide tires than the K10 pickup. Blazer and Jimmy remain the only utilities that don't offer a front bench seat, limiting passengers to 5, but the rear seat is full width, unlike the 5 to 7 inch shorter wheelbase Ram Charger and Bronco. There's 50 cubic foot of storage behind the back seat, 3 times more than a big sedan's trunk. Ergo, GM thinks the Blazer and Jimmy will garner a big increase in sales from big car buyers switching to brawnier trucks. Top-of-the-line Silverado replaces Cheyenne trim in the Blazer. There's a new center console and custom steering wheel. Driver's seat adjuster offers greater travel. After a long run starting in 1971, the swank Cheyenne trim or GMC Sierra Grande, which includes carpeting, heavy insulation, and elaborate trim, bids this mortal coil adieu. The top Silverado has recently been distinguished from Cheyenne by a visor vanity mirror and full instrumentation. $559 Silverado or GM Sierra Classic also gets inside pillar moldings, brushed stainless door and instrument panel trim, bright metal tailgate panel, wheel lip and side trim, hood panel and cab to fender insulation, chrome trim grille, and quad headlamps. Scottsdale or GMC High Sierra trim costs $310 and includes dual note horn, color-keyed vinyl-coated rubber floor, extra floor insulation, black crackle door trim and instrument panel trim, dome light switch, and cigarette lighter. You can opt for a Silverado's velour seat, Outside is a black and bright metal upper body molding, bright windshield, rear window, tail lamp, and cab marker lab moldings. Crew Cab and Suburban Scottsdale have full-length headliner. The base Chevy Custom Deluxe, or GMC Sierra, finally adds 7-inch deep full foam seat, plus a standard chrome bumper like Ford has used for a decade. It has new optional blue or doeskin striped vinyl upholstery, revised instrument script with symbols, and dual outside mirrors, inside hood release, and color-keyed seat belts. So for 1981 and a half, GM's 1982 model CK trucks are slicker, stronger, leaner, and meaner, and poised to capture more sales and higher profits than cars thanks to their lower 19.5 mile per gallon 1985 CAFE target instead of the 27.5 mile per gallon passenger car target. More body configurations and powertrains than Ford and Dodge put GM CK trucks a big step ahead.